Okay, in this video we're going to continue with completing the square. Completing the square is a method for us. So if we're thinking, we're trying to convert these parabolas that have equations in standard form to vertex form, which is ax minus h squared plus k. The only difference between the previous video is I now have an a value that's not 1. So if you're kind of imagining this target at the start of your work, it makes the process a little bit easier. I want to have the number out in front and then one number at the end. So I'm going to start by factoring out the a value, which in this case is 4, just from the first two terms. So I'm not common factoring. I'm not looking for what they share. I'm just taking whatever the a value is. I'm just going to factor it out of the first two terms. So I've got x squared now, and then 32x divided by 4 would be 8x. So I'm dividing the first terms by the a value. And I'm going to leave the last term outside of the brackets because I want it by itself at the end. So now it's looking a little bit more like my target. And I'm just going to follow the same steps that we always do, but just inside the brackets now. So I'm going to take half of this middle term, so half of 8, and then square it. So half of 8 is 4. 4 squared is 16. So again, I'm creating that perfect square trinomial by adding 16. Of course, I can't add a number. It will change the equation, so I'm going to take it away immediately. So I've got plus 16 minus 16 all within the brackets. And then I've still got the negative 12 on the outside. So what I really want to do is factor these first three terms. I don't really want this first term inside the bracket, right? I only want these first three. So I'm going to remove the negative 16 from the bracket. How do we remove something and get rid of a bracket? I do it by distributing or multiplying. So to kick this negative 16 out of the bracket, I'm going to multiply it by what's in front, which in this case is a positive 4. And that will distribute the 4 just to that last term. So we'll just remove that last term from the bracket. So I now have minus 12 and then negative 16 times positive 4. So I've got negative 64. And now I can do what we always do, which is factor the first three. We could think of two numbers that multiply to 16 and add to 8. But we already know that it's going to be half of the middle value. So it's going to be 4 and 4 again. So x plus 4 squared. And then I'm just going to collect my last two. So negative 12 subtract another 64. I have minus 76. Sorry, I shouldn't use two colors. Anyway. So that's how we complete the square. I now have it in vertex form. So the only difference is I need to factor out the a value from the first two terms. And then I need to kick out the extra term from the brackets. Let's just do one more example. Again, here I've got an a value that's not equal to positive 1. In this case, the a value is just negative 1. So again, my first step is to factor out the a value from the first two terms. So I'm going to take out the negative 1 and then divide both the first two terms by negative 1. So negative x squared divided by 1 is positive x squared. Positive 18x divided by negative 1 will now be negative 18x. I'm going to leave that last term outside of the brackets. And again, let's just follow our normal procedure. What's half of negative 18 squared? Well, if I cut negative 18 in half, I have negative 9. Negative 9 squared will be positive 81. And so that's the number that I'm going to add and then immediately take away. Again, I only want to factor those first three terms in the bracket. So I want to remove this negative 81 or kick it out of the bracket. And I do that by multiplying it by what's in front. So I'm going to multiply it by negative 1. And now I have three terms in the bracket. I have my perfect square trinomial within the bracket. I've got plus 3, and now negative 81 times negative 1, I've got another positive 81. So again, we're going to factor the middle, collect the end. I still have my a value out front. So two numbers that multiply to positive 81 adds negative 18. Well, we picked it on purpose, so it's going to be negative 9 and negative 9, so it's squared. 3 plus 81 is 84. So this is how we complete the square. The only difference here now is that I've got an a value in front of the brackets. You're going to notice the a value in standard form is, of course, the same a value that we have in vertex form, right? A represents the same thing in all three forms. And then again, if I wanted to, I could state the vertex, which is 9, 84. It gives me all sorts of important information. This would be my maximum, right? It opens down, so that's my maximum value. We'll talk about that in the next lesson a little bit more. 9 is kind of when that happens. It's also our axis of symmetry. So we get lots of information out of that vertex, all from using the completing the square process. Okay, I think that's all for now. Send me an email if you have any questions. And once again, thank you for watching.